What's going on, everybody? This is your boy, Moses Marquez, the man behind SMR Podcast Network, and the host of some of your favorite podcasts, Mo and the Dead Man and the famous Retro Rewind. Today, I'm here to talk to you guys about Anchor FM. Have you ever thought about starting your own podcast? Well, Anchor.fm is the best and easiest place to do so. First off, it's free, and you can upload as many episodes as you like. They even offer lots of creative tools which can be accessed on your phone or computer. They can distribute your podcast to some of the best platforms out there, such as Google Play, Apple, iTunes, and Spotify. Also, Anchor allows you to make money through your podcast with no minimum listenership. Thanks to the Anchor app, I was able to record an episode of the Retro Rewind on location with my tablet and audio equipment, and it came out sounding perfect. So don't waste any more time. Download the free Anchor app or go to Anchor.fm now to get started, and you can be a part of the podcast revolution. You're listening to a Smart Mark Radio production.
You're tuned into Bolt Rant, a Los Angeles Chargers podcast. Here's your host, Moses Marquez.
Top of the morning, Bolt Nation. It is game day Sunday, and this is a brand new edition of Bolt Rant. I am your host, Moses Marquez. If you did not listen to that lovely intro at the beginning, we are here to talk about this afternoon's matchup, if you will, against the Cleveland Browns. So, I did drop a review of the Raider game, talk a little bit about some good stuff there, so make sure to check that out if you're already subscribed on the Spotify, which you should be. And of course, you can find this podcast and all the great ones like it on all the platforms possible, on Google Play, Apple iTunes, Spotify, soon to be Facebook and Pandora. But within that, let's do time. Make sure you're hitting that subscribe button. Let's waste no time. Let's jump into this. Let's get into the injury report for week 5. So for the injury report, we are looking at, for the Chargers, just one guy's out, and to a lot of fans, we could say that's fine with us, and it's Justin Jackson battling a little bit of a groin injury. He was listed as doubtful going into the game as of yesterday, and today we are learning that he is OUT out. He was limited on Wednesday and did not practice the rest of the week, which is fine. Larry Roundtree has done well in his time when he's been able to get the ball and be somewhat of a load carrier, so that way Austin doesn't get too tired. And then if we need to, Josh Kelly probably will be active and he will be available if we need him. Another guy on the list for questionable, at least going in, is Chris Harris, but he has just recently been told that he will play, and so there will be some different schemes for the Browns to have to schedule around. So maybe we still see Derwin in the slot, maybe we don't see Derwin in the slot, maybe they flip it around. I'm just excited to see what this defense does with Chris Harris Jr. back on the field. It was looking really good without him. How good is it going to be with him back on? Now let's look at the other side of the ball, looking at the Cleveland Browns, and if you looked at their injury report, you would think, oh my Lord have mercy, so many guys are going to be out. Well, there's a lot of questionables, and there's two guys that are for sure out. That's Greg Newsome, that's Chris Hubbard, that is the right tackle and one of the starting cornerbacks. Jedrick Willis, the starting left tackle, will also be out with an ankle injury. The following players have been cleared to play in this one, and that's Denzel Ward, David Njoku, I want to say Troy Hill, Myles Garrett, and Jadeveon Clowney are all cleared and will play this afternoon. Odell Beckham Jr. is coming back, which is something Baker Mayfield may absolutely love because, he's been missing him. The guy has been battling a shoulder injury, but went full practice all week long, so expect to have Odell Beckham out there and be a threat, as we know he can be. So there is one other name on this list that does get me, I guess, a little antsy, if you will, because I already talked about both the starting left and starting right tackle being out. J.C. Tretter, their starting center, is listed as questionable with a neck and back injury. He didn't practice both Wednesday and Thursday, had a limited practice on Friday. I have yet to hear word if he will play. If he doesn't, that means there will be 3 backups on this offensive line with a beat-up Baker Mayfield. It's prime eating for the Chargers, if you ask me. Yes, we do have to worry about the two-headed monster and Kareem Hunt and Nick Chubb. Yes, we do have to understand that Odell Beckham Jr. is on the field, and so is David Njoku, who could be a threat in his own right. But the fact of the matter is with a weakened offensive line for the Browns, it absolutely leaves the availability, or I guess the possibility for Joey Bosa and company to have just another great game like they did against the Raiders. Getting in the face of Derek Carr caused him to get crazy, and I'm sure doing the same to Baker Mayfield would just help us get that much closer to a W going into this afternoon. So this one's going to be a little bit of a shortened episode. If you can't already tell, we already ran through the injury report relatively quickly. And we're going to continue onward with our keys to victory. Keys to victory are very simple, and I've got 3 of them. Number 1 is make this two-headed monster that is Kareem Hunt and Nick Chubb one-dimensional. The thing that makes these guys so good is one's not as good as the other in both aspects. So Kareem Hunt is a lot more of a receiving back, as Nick Chubb is more of a running back, running downhill, old school running back. So if you can make both of these guys one-dimensional, if you can make Kareem Hunt a runner and you can have to force Nick Chubb to get any production by going out for passes, we can easily slow, if not shut them down completely. I definitely see maybe Asante Samuel playing on Odell Beckham, if not Chris Harris Jr. I love the idea of having a veteran on Odell Beckham. It definitely shuts him down, definitely keeps him in play. Njoku has not been playing to his strengths, so seeing Michael Davis on top of him again should be a great idea. You have a 6'2 cornerback who's actually been doing very well against tight ends, so we might as well keep that fad going, if you ask me. Key to victory number 2. Get in Baker's face and get in his face often. I've talked about how this offensive line for the Browns is coming in banged up and banged up bad. They could be missing 3 guys, if not just both of their tackles. That leaves prime opportunity for Nwosu, Fackrell, Bosa, and even Chris Rumpf to get in there and get in Baker Mayfield's face. He is already injured. The possibility of us getting in there, getting a nice big hit on Baker and getting him out of the game is a high possibility, making them have to go to their backup, who is a guy I don't even really know who their freaking backup is. Getting in Baker's face is absolutely a key to victory. Key to victory number 3. Keep Herbert on his feet. We're going against probably the best defensive line, if not the best front 7 in all of the NFL. You've got guys like Myles Garrett, and you got guys like Jadeveon Clowney coming off the edges, working against our stud rookie left tackle Rashawn Slater and Storm Norton, which, by the way, I did not talk about in my injury report, and shame on me for not doing so. Storm Norton may miss this afternoon's game due to the birth of his child. If that happens, the possibility of having Trey Pipkins step in and play right tackle is a possibility. Now, Coach Staley has talked about before, where they feel that they have a luxury pick in Schofield. So what they could easily do is they could easily plug Schofield into the left guard spot, which is they have talked about before, move Matt Fleener to the right tackle spot, as he has had success in that position before. Right now, Matt Fleener is probably Matt Filer, excuse me, I keep calling him Fleener. Matt Filer is probably our best offensive lineman. Yes, he's a little bit better than Lindsley. Yes, he's a little bit better than Rashawn, and he's a heck of a lot better than Brian Bulaga. So the reality of the matter is if we need to make the move, even if it's just for this one game, then I say so be it. Let's make it happen. The idea of ensuring that Justin Herbert is on his feet means we have a better chance of winning this game. The less he gets pressure, the more he can stay poised, make accurate throws, and kill this defense with his arm. If not, his legs as well. All right, guys, like I said, short and sweet on this episode. We're already about 8 minutes in. Now we're going to talk about bold predictions. I've got 3 bold predictions for this one, and then I'm going to give you my final score prediction. And then again, for those DFS madmen out there, I've got 3 lineups for you that you can play in whatever order you'd like, and hopefully I can win you some money. So, bold predictions time. Bold predictions number 1. Austin Eckler gets 100 yards rushing. If you noticed how well he ran last week against the Raiders, who actually have a very good defensive front 7, he rushed for over 100 yards, which is probably the highest in his career, if I'm not mistaken. I believe it was 116 was his number. That mixed with some passing activity coming out of the backfield makes for a very scary Austin Eckler. A nice combination of catch and pass, or catch and run, I should say, with Austin Eckler makes him that much more of a threat to this Browns defense. That is actually a pretty good defense. But I think with that lovely mixture and all the other weapons around, he's going to be able to spring loose and get over 100 yards on the ground. Bold prediction number 2. Herbert continues to go interception free through this game. If you noticed, last game against the Raiders, he threw for 4 touchdowns, no interceptions, 222 yards. I feel he will do the same this week. Probably multiple touchdowns, 2 or 3. I'm not going to give an actual number on that one, but I'd say he does not throw a pick. He will continue on the no interception train. Bold prediction number 3. If you haven't guessed it, I fucking love this defense. So guess what? 2 interceptions on Baker Mayfield. Maybe 1 Darrow and 1 Asante. Maybe 1 Mike Davis and 1 Asante. Look out for Mike Davis getting a pick in this game. Look out for Asante growing his number of interceptions in this game. My final score prediction for this one. Chargers 31. Browns 17. All right. Again, this is the best way to get in and get out. This is prior to the game. You got a 15-minute at the max podcast here. And now it's time to talk about DFS. All right, so before I get into actual matchups, I got to talk about games that I absolutely love. And one game that I absolutely love is the Green Bay Packers against the Cincinnati Bengals. You've got Aaron Rodgers, you've got Devontae Adams, you've got Aaron Jones. You can even use Randall Cobb. The fact of the matter is right now on FanDuel, Aaron Rodgers is sitting there with his opposing ranked 29th, so he has the 3rd best matchup, and he is $8,000. Now again, they are going to be premium players because they have a great game. 8,400 for Aaron Jones, and then of course 8,200, the top spot for Mr. Devontae Adams. Now, if you wanted to sneak down and just use Randall Cobb, he's coming in at a very, very sneaky 5,500. So again, he's a great option. Another great option, sneaky options, sleeper options, if you will, because games I love in this one. And it's actually the Giants and the Cowboys. We know this is going to be pretty much lack of defense on both sides. So it's going to be high shooting, a lot of passing. You can go with Dak. I would not belittle you for going with Dak. I feel like he would have the better matchup anyway, but if you want to save some bread, if you want to save a little bit of money and put it towards other capital into this game or into not future games, but into the games you're playing this morning, my money is actually on Daniel Jones, who's not only cheaper, but has just as good a matchup. Dak Prescott on FanDuel is coming in at $8,100, and you have Mr. Danny Dimes, Daniel Jones, coming in at $7,400. Another sneaky quarterback that I really like is actually Jameis Winston. He's coming in at an even $7,000. He's taking on the Washington football team, who has been giving up nothing but points. Now, granted, I don't expect Jameis to throw for over 304 touchdowns, but I could absolutely see him throw for 4 touchdowns. So think about him if you're looking for a budget move in the quarterback field. And one final budget move in the quarterback field, if you really need to go this low, if you want to stack the rest of your lineups, go hard for running backs like Derrick Henry, who's over 10,000. Trey Lance, $6,400. He's got a great matchup against Arizona, and it looks like he's going to get the start with Garoppolo still being out. So I expect that this could be a good one there. Running backs, the top spot belongs to Derrick Henry, $10,400, and the reason behind that is in the last 10 games that he's had or against Jacksonville Jaguars, the guy's rushed for over 10,000 yards. Now, I don't even think that's actually the 10-game stat. If I'm not mistaken, I believe that's actually like 5-game stat or whatever. The point of the matter is this guy owns the Jacksonville Jaguars when he goes out there. So he is $10,400. If you want to put him in your lineup, there is no wrong answer with that one. Speaking of injury reports in the DFS world, Dalvin Cook not playing today. If you have his backup, Madison, then you should be fine. Again, it's for regular players. For DFS players, Madison's sitting in at $6,500. Pretty dang good deal as he's going up against the Detroit Lions, who have been known to give up plenty of yards on the ground. Another good play for this week in the running back spot, if you really want to keep your money on the lower side, is Damian Williams, who's actually coming in for the injured David Montgomery for the Chicago Bears, sitting at $5,800. The guy got 17 points last week. He will get the workload this week. I expect him to get about the same, maybe a little bit more. Could be a steal of a deal in there. And if you really, really want a steal of a deal, this guy, for some reason, always comes out and somehow does better than Zeke during some games that either are very big or don't matter because it's a shootout, and he's a great pass catcher coming out of the back. That's Tony Pollard, sitting at $5,600. He's a guy you can easily throw into your flex and have no worries about. To get into the wide receivers, I already talked about Devontae Adams and his excellent matchup today. You have David Moore taking on the Philadelphia Eagles, $7,900. He looks like a guy that you could use. A guy I personally am looking at is Deebo Samuel after having a great game last week. Looking at $7,700. He's playing against Arizona with Trey Lance. Him and Trey Lance have the connection. It could work out in a lot of people's favor. As far as wide receivers go, there's really not a lot of guys out there that I am dying to bring in. But again, talking about games that we liked, talking about how the Cowboys and the Giants could be a shootout. We talked, if I did not mention, is Sterling Shepard is out of the game, which leaves plenty of room for a guy like Kenny Golladay sitting at $6,200. Again, third best matchup going into the game. So he's a good guy worth looking at. Another guy worth looking at is Shenault out of Jacksonville, $5,800. He's going to be getting more play since DJ Chark is going to be out with an injury. Look for him in another good winnable game. Another reason to look at, and I don't mean to continuously emphasize on one player, but another reason to look at Golladay is because from the looks of it here, Darius Slayton is also out. So these two giant receivers you need to be looking at are gonna be Kenny Golladay, are probably gonna be Evan Ingram, who's back this week. One more guy that I gotta mention, because the fact of the matter is he's getting more and more play, and he's gonna go up against the team that's looking to blow his team out, and that's Curtis Samuel. Curtis Samuel, for some weird reason, is sitting at $5,200 right now on FanDuel. The fact is yes, they are still nursing his groin injury, and it looks like he's going to slowly get back out there. But he got 4 targets last week, and I can absolutely see him get up in more targets. If not, just, long bomb passes, something he's good at, something he can work to beat other receivers on. Getting into the tight ends. Tight ends are slim pickings. Absolutely slim pickings. top position goes to Darren Waller because he's a guy that produces, but he is going against the Chicago Bears, and they are not giving up a lot of points to tight ends. He is at the top spot, $7,400. George Kittle, if you have not heard, he is on the IR and is done for a minimum of 3 games. If you have him in your lineup, switch him out now. I do not know if they have any good backups on their team, but right now it's DFS. So a good option to go for DFS is the TJ Hawkinson, looking at $6,400. He has a pretty mediocre matchup going in, but again, he is a key focus from Jared Goff. Easy possibility that he can get some good scoring. We go back to the Giants-Cowboys game. You got Dallas Schultz, who's looking at $6,200. He looks like a guy that you could bring in, and he could easily score you 10, 12 points, no questions asked. 2 tight ends I personally like a lot. 1, CJ Uzomah, after his great game last week, he's going to be playing the Green Bay Packers. It's going to be a heck of a game as far as offense goes. So I could definitely see CJ getting a lot of usage as they attempt to try to come back, but I'm sure Aaron Rodgers will go on a flurry. And another guy that I'm picking on almost all of my lineups is Mike Gesicki, or as they say for the fantasy footballers, Mike Gesicki. $5,600. The guy has a great matchup, and he is a safety net for Jacoby Brissett. They're going up against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers have been giving up a lot of passing yards and passing touchdowns to not only tight ends but wide receivers as well. So the fact is this is a guy that could easily do big damage this week and could be a key factor into winning you some money in this DFS. My final 2 I gotta give to you here. Jared Cook, after a great connection on Monday with Justin Herbert, they had a nice touchdown, 7 targets, 6 catches. He did very well. His breakout game as a Charger. I could absolutely see this being that stepping stone into getting more targets going forward. Keenan Allen did still get 11, but again, this guy got 7. Maybe some of it goes back to Mike Williams. Maybe Jared Cook sneaks in with a touchdown. The reason I bring this up is because they are taking on the Cleveland Browns, and the Cleveland Browns do have very good cornerbacks. Now, one of them is out in Greg Newsome, so maybe that means Mike Williams has a big day. Maybe it doesn't. Final guy worth looking at, Evan Ingram. I bring it up because, again, you have Darius Slayton out and Sterling Shepard's out. So that means that they're going to be relying on the rookie Tooney, and they're going to be relying on Kenny Golladay. So again, targets could be going Evan Ingram's way, and I'm thinking is going to be a shootout. Your flex options, again, I've talked about pretty much every guy that can fit in every single one of your things. It's all about managing money. I personally have been using like Curtis Samuel in my flex since he is at $5,200. It's just you want to look at good matchups. You want to make sure that the guy in the flex is somebody that is on the lower end with a higher value. Now, the one defense I'm looking at today, and again, you can very simply just go with the top defense for $5,000. The New England Patriots are going to be taking on the Houston Texans, and with that backup quarterback, and Bill Belichick never really doing bad against backup quarterbacks, I can definitely see the Patriots going bananas, even without Stephon Gilmore. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers, again, I talk about how their defense gives up a lot of points. They also do play very well when they need to. They get sacks, they get interceptions. They are playing Miami, who again has a backup quarterback in Jacoby Brissett. It's a very good possibility there that we could easily see some big things happening there. And then the Raiders, I could see the Raiders do a bounce back game as their defense is still very good. They can have a bounce back game against the Chicago Bears as they are using a backup running back, and well, their quarterback is Justin Fields, and rookies can be rattled in this league. But the one defense that I kind of have all my eggs in the basket for, and some may be thinking that it's the Tennessee Titans as they take on Trevor Lawrence and the Jacksonville Jaguars. No, that's not the case at all. I'm actually looking at the Denver Broncos, who's taking on a down-spiraling Pittsburgh Steelers team. Now, home Ben is normally the best Ben, but I don't believe in anything Ben Roethlisberger this year. I know how good of a secondary Denver Broncos have, and I know that they have put up points as a defense in the fantasy realm in the weeks past. So when you go up against a quarterback that is kind of on the downward spiral, I feel like this is the game worth looking at. another good one to look for is the Green Bay defense against the Cincinnati one. I kind of tend to lean away from that because I feel like Joe Burrow is a guy who could very easily come back, make a difference, and be dominant. All right, folks, so let me get into my 3 lineups that you are more than welcome to use, and quite hopefully I hope you win some money for doing it. My one biggest one right here is we got Tom Brady at quarterback, Derrick Henry and Damian Williams at my 2 running back spots. Got Kenny Golladay, Shenault, and Cobb at my wide receiver spots. We've got Mike Gesicki at my tight end spot, Curtis Samuel at my flex spot, and we're rocking with the Broncos defense. Another one you can go for, and this is also a little bit more of the budget move, and one guy I didn't talk about was Leonard Fournette, who seems to be getting the starting role and did really well last week. I expect him to do well again this week. Danny Dimes, Daniel Jones, if you will, is my starting quarterback. Leonard Fournette and Madison, my starting running backs. Devontae Adams, Kenny Golladay, and Shenault are my wide receivers. Jared Cook, my tight end. Aaron Jones, I'm able to fit into my flex, and I bring in the Buccaneers defense. My last one, and probably my favorite, and what I think is actually going to be the best one, and I'm kind of stacking the Green Bay game, so I got Aaron Rodgers. I'm going with Derrick Henry and Leonard Fournette in my running back spots. I got Devontae Adams, Curtis Samuel, and Randall Cobb. So yes, 3 guys from the Green Bay game, all stacked into this one. Mike Gesicki. I've got James Conner at my flex spot. Yes, James Conner, running back for the Arizona Cardinals, the guy who's been kind of getting the lead for them the last couple of weeks. I feel could have a good game against the 49ers, who seem to be giving up a lot of yards against the rush. And then, of course, I finish off with the Denver Broncos defense. Again, these are fan duels. You can use these same lineups on DraftKings if you'd like. The numbers, the cost will be different, so understand that, but that is what it is. So with all that being said, I kind of said this was going to be a short one. We went about the normal length, about 30 minutes. DFS is a little extended this week for those out there really trying and really hoping, so I appreciate you guys listening, and I hope you appreciate the tips and tricks I can give. So with all that being said, I'm going to get on out of here. The review of this game should drop on Wednesday, so make sure you are followed and subscribed on podcast platforms all around the world to ensure that you can listen to the next upcoming episode. There is no notifications yet, but what you can make sure to do is just have us followed on every platform, and then of course make sure you're checking out the social media platforms: Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, SMR Podnet, everywhere. Smart Mark Radio and Bolt Rant are on a combination here, okay? Bolt Rant is a passion project of mine, but my original podcast network was about professional wrestling. Please do not get discouraged, as Bolt Rant episodes will be there in their entirety. And I hope you all enjoy the new Bolt Rant logo. I apologize if it's cut. Anchor kind of sucks for that reason, but it is what it is. I will let you all get out of here. Enjoy this. Hopefully you guys can win some money. Hopefully we get a good W for the Chargers this week, and we push on to next week winning 3 straight. Just before I let you guys get out of here, remember, if you like this show, feel free to share it with other Charger fans and let them know that Bolt Rant is the place for Charger fans, because it is a podcast by a Charger fan. Have a great one, and bolt up.